what you're looking at is the Dexter dashboard. And this is a front end to Amazon Connect call center. We don't make a big distinction between the desktop of a supervisor and an agent. They pretty much look the same. Supervisors are clearly going to have permissions that maybe an agent wouldn't have. But for example, when you first bring up the dashboard and you log in, you're looking at some navigation tabs along the left side, and on the right side, you're going to see what we call the Agent Collaboration Board, which I'll tell you more about in just a moment. And then you're looking here at real-time metrics. And this is a real-time display of what's going on in the call center right now. If you're an agent, you're going to see the activity in the queues that you're a member of. If you're a supervisor, you're going to have the opportunity to see all of the activity in the call center. We also have this capability here to select particular queues. So if a supervisor, for example, wants to drill down on the tech support queue or the sales queue, you can just select that and look at that. These are widgets, and when I say widget, I mean you can unlock these guys and you can reposition them and move them around. We're always introducing new widgets. In fact, I might show you a new one later if we have time. You can take this guy here and pop him up if you want to make use of him as a full, as a wall board in the call center, for example. You'll see here that we display contacts in queue, by caller ID, and you generally see the status of the other members of the contact center. On the right side of the display here, you're looking at what we call team collaboration. And one of the characteristics of the Amazon call center is that one agent cannot normally call another agent unless they're transferring an active phone call. And in the Dexter, we make it possible for agents to collaborate with each other. So let's assume I have an active phone call here and I want to, I know Betty talked to this person before. I can right-click and I can set up a voice call to Betty, or I could chat with Betty. If I am a supervisor, there'll be two other buttons here. One will say monitor. So as a supervisor, I can monitor an active telephone call. And coach, I can whisper in the ear of that agent and coach them as they're speaking with an outside caller. So this is kind of like a little telephone system here that lives in Dexter outside of the call center. It's not racking up any cost of the call center. And it just enables us to collaborate between agents. You can set up your favorites if you like. You can put this away. It's a pretty useful tool for enabling communication between the agents. Obviously, up here is where I'm doing things like setting my agent state. In most call centers, agents log in at the start of the day. They log out at the end of the day. But during those two periods, maybe they take a break, maybe there's a team meeting, and this is where you're going to set that. We have some useful tools like being able to create an announcement. A supervisor can give it a title, select the cues that they want the announcement to reach, go ahead and type a message in this space, and either call it information or emergency, and go ahead and send it, and that will appear on the screens of all of the agents. So it's a useful tool. We also do things like report any AWS outages we're aware of, and we publish our own maintenance schedule. So this screen is available to everybody. Like I said, agents will see their own activities. Engage is where we go to manage phone calls, text messages, email, and chat, which I'll show you a little bit about. We have this concept of activity, which is a place where a supervisor might go. And it's kind of reporting all of the activity in the call center, who called in, the date, the time, the duration, the queue that they came in on. You can drill down on these things, including the ability to pull back recordings or chat transcripts, which I'll show you. We have a directory system, which is there's a note that you wanted to see quick connects. This is what this is. It's basically where you can go, create, give it a name, give it a phone number, and if I declare it to be global, it will then be a quick connect that is made available to all of the agents in the call center. So all of this information here can be click to call, and it is available as a quick connect, typically used for transferring calls out of the call centers or making phone calls outside of the call center. You can have a personal section. You can have a global section, which is quick connects made available to everybody in the call center. There's the concept of users. This is where you will go typically to add users. There's no need for you to log into Amazon Connect administration. Supervisors will have this screen, and it serves two purposes. One, they can add users, but more importantly, they can take a user and change their routing profile. In other words, move an agent from one customer service queue to another, and that's typically what this interface is used for. In the settings area, this is probably the only difference between an agent and a supervisor. Agents will all have preferences where they can go and set their personal preferences for how, for example, what sounds do they want to hear. You can select different tones. Not everybody wants to wear a headset all day long, so we enable you to select any other sound source on your computer. You can change the tones. You can change the tones that the agents use when they call you, so you can tell the difference between it and maybe an outside phone call. So agents have this preference tab. They can change their avatar, etc. If you're a supervisor, you'll have this tab. It's basically where, for example, where we're going to set up disposition codes. As you'll see when we've got an active phone call, you get a drop-down window where you can apply a disposition code to that phone call. And this is where you would create them. You'd add, give it a name, select the queues that you wanted to apply to, and go ahead and save it. And now those disposition codes will be available in a drop-down window at the end of a phone call. You can also do things like, let's pick out something here. I think that might be of some value. Okay, when a phone call is presented to an agent and they do not answer the call for whatever the reason, they got up and left their desk and forgot to change their status to break, the system is going to put them in forced release. It's just a safety mechanism to make sure we don't waste the caller's time ringing a desk where the agent has left. They're put into forced release, and this will say forced release. Supervisors will see that and generally go down there and figure out why there's no agent. Some call centers don't like that. Some call centers would prefer that we change that behavior, and what we've enabled it to do is to change the behavior to wrap time. So if in your call center you give an agent 30 seconds, 60 seconds, whatever, to do some paperwork before they handle the next phone call, that's called wrap time. And what we can do is have forced release follow wrap time so that they don't manually have to go back to available after the wrap time. That will automatically be put back into available. You had a request for emergency closings, I think you called it. We have a section here called Hours of Operation. Is basically, think of it as holiday schedules. So we've got our holidays here, July 4th, Memorial Day. But more importantly, this screen enables you to have an emergency closure, or I like to think of it as an ad hoc closing. So, for example, let's say I want to have a team meeting. I can go here and say staff meeting, and I want to have that be with my sales team, and I set the date and the time, and that I can create a custom message here that will be played to the caller when they hit this cue during this time. So this is basically text-to-speech. You create the prompt. If a caller hits the sales cue during this date and time, that message is going to play. For example, I have a team meeting set up here. We're in a team meeting from 10 to 11, and we'll reopen at that time. This message is going to be played. So it can serve holidays, it can serve for ad hoc, and it can serve for just an emergency closure. And since you can log into Dexter from anywhere on the planet, I don't think you have snow emergencies there in Atlanta, but there may be some other reason you want to close the call center. This is how you would do it. In the security section here, this is where a supervisor would set up permissions. We send Dexter out when you log in. Dexter has a default administrator and a default agent setting, and these permissions are allocated based on whether you're an agent or administrator. A supervisor can create, give it a new name, description, and then go through here and customize the features that you want that particular group to have. So it's very useful for that purpose. Channels. Channels is where you're going to go to set up text messaging and email. And what I have you understand here, these work pretty much the same. And we'll look at some real activity here in just a moment. But what you need to know is Dexter acts as basically an email client. So you're going to create an email. We're going to use your email services, whatever they are. We have an email address here called customercare@dexter.cloud. I put in the password, the IMAP and SMTP information, and Dexter is now going to go out periodically, check this mailbox, and if there's mail, it's going to bring it back in, and it's going to route that mail to the agents based on a call flow that we set up here. So I have a call flow set up called Customer Care for this customercare@dexter.cloud. When Dexter finds a message, I want that message to route to the customer service team. I could pick any of our customer service groups. We have the concept of an autoresponder. So when you send an email in, you're going to get an autoresponder back that says, thanks for contacting Dexter. Someone will be right with you. And then the last email sent out will have this closing email. That's pretty much. And what you should know here is that when an agent accepts an email, it actually appears in their email a client. So they'll open up their Microsoft Outlook. If they accepted the message, they'll respond to the message. Dexter then takes that message, changes the agent's from address back to customercare@dexter.cloud in our example, and sends it out. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. Text messaging, pretty much the same thing. You create a text account and you set up routing pretty much just like I did with email. It also has keyword mapping. So if you want to share one incoming text number with multiple groups, you can route it based on a keyword. So a keyword for customer service, a keyword for tech, or something like that. Or you can have separate text messages. And once again, we have the concept of an autoresponder. The first message in gets this initial response, and the last message out will get the closing response. So if we go back here to text, we go back here to where phone calls come in. When you're in the Engage portal, you're looking at this screen, and I'm seeing my recent activity. This recent activity, I can click on it. It's a click to dial. It's just showing me my last number of phone calls. If I get an incoming phone call, it's going to appear like this. I can see that this is a voice call, and I can see contact attributes associated with this call. I'm going to go ahead and answer this call. And by the way, I get a whisper in my ear as an agent, and the little whisper is going to tell me what queue the phone call came in. So in this case, when I answered that call, the system said customer service. So as an agent, I know, what queue the customer came through if an agent is part of multiple queues. At that point, the screen switches to what we call our note-taking field. Mild digression technically here. There's a lot of information that we get and we keep. You saw the concept of customer contact attributes. What I mean by that is if there's an application in your call center where when the caller comes in, maybe it asks them, okay, here I'm getting an incoming email. So shows you two things here. I'm going to go ahead and accept this email. And I've still got this active phone call, so I can handle email, I can handle chat. What I want you to know here on the phone call is that I've got this note-taking capability. I can add a note. And this note stuff, I can't apparently talk and type. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now, these notes are going to be associated with this caller ID. And every time this caller enters the system again, all of these notes are going to materialize, regardless of what agent answered the call. So every agent has a running record of whatever phone calls came in. I can see here I also just got a text message. I'm going to end this phone call. Just push end. And I get a drop-down window here now that talks about, I can select my disposition code. So I was just on a sales call. I'll go ahead and save that. Notice here that I'm in after call work, which is set for about 30 seconds here. And let's go take a look at that email. So as I told you, when you get an email, I accepted the email. So here's the concept. I, as an agent answering that email, now own that email. And as I showed you before, that email is going to appear here in my Microsoft Outlook. I'll go ahead and answer this email. And you see it says to customer care. What's going to happen now is Dexter is going to take that message back in, and it's going to send it back out to whoever sent me this message. They're going to see that the message came from the email that they originally sent it to. Notice up here there's an end conversation button. This is very interesting because what it enables us to do is to make sure that if an agent answers a phone call, or an email or an SMS message, that message will stay with that same agent until such time as they push end conversation. So the interesting thing about text messages and email messages is that, they might go back and forth in 10 minutes, 10 hours, or 10 days, who knows? And so to make sure that if it's an active conversation, that it continues to ping pong back and forth between the same agent, we created this end conversation. So if this person answers that email, it's going to come back to me. Same thing over here if I go to text messages. I just got a text message here. I'm going to, by the way, I would use this as an opportunity to tell you, most of the applications we see for text messages are not because people want to send a text message back and forth. Typically, they want to send a picture, right? If I'm in technical support, I might want someone to send me a picture of that wireless router so I can see where that cable is plugged in. Or if I'm in the auto insurance, send me a picture of that crumpled fender. At any rate, the point is I will interact here with that person who sent me this message, and this message history is persistent. It will stay with me until such time as I end the conversation. If this ping pongs back 2 days from now, it's going to come back to me as an agent. If I, as an agent, am not logged in, then this entire history that you're seeing here, this persistent chat history, is going to be moved to the next agent in the queue, and they will see the whole history of that message. Same thing happens for email. We work email in the same way. Until such time as I end this conversation, this entire history is going to stay with me. So you can see I have a couple of active emails here, and I'm going back and forth with this person. They don't want to talk to a new agent. They want the same one they've been working with. And so until, again, I end the conversation, this will continue to happen here. Chat works pretty much the same way. When you have an incoming chat message, you're going to get a chat alert. Let's see if I can. Here's an incoming chat here from Alex Starton. I can see that he came in through the customer service queue. I'm going to go ahead, accept that, and maybe I'm trying to do two things at once here. Hi, Alex. I say as an agent, how can I help you? And Alex is going to see this, and we're going to be chatting back and forth. Again, this is going to stay with me until I end the conversation. Chat has an interesting timer. The only thing different between chat and SMS and email is all chat will time out in 24 hours. So you can set a chat for one queue to be 5 minutes and chat for another queue to be 20 minutes, as long as it is handled within a 24-hour period. Chat is Amazon Connect chat. So that's pretty much the overview of how text works, how email works. They share a common strategy. We want the agent who's engaged in that conversation to be able to handle the conversation going forward, and they will until such time as they end the conversation. And once again, if they're not logged in, the entire conversation will move to the next available agent in that queue.
Want to just show that?
Okay, here's Gordon here, and I want to chat with him, so I'm going to go ahead and right-click. I could call him, but I'm on the phone with an agent. I just want to say, can you help me with figuring out what this person really wants? And what's going to happen is Gordon is going to get a little indication on his phone, and he will be able to chat back with me. So here's Gordon's coming back in here. and it's just a facility for chatting between the agents. I would point out that this is built into Dexter. You're not using Amazon Connect, so there's no increased cost for you. As you know, Amazon is billing you, 0.018 cents for connected minutes. The conversations that happen here are outside of Amazon. They're part of the Dexter dashboard. I can see here that I have something engaged. If I go there, I can see that that's an incoming text message. I want to see all of the phone calls in my activity feed that have a voice recording. Now, if you record your calls, a supervisor can click on an account, and we bring back the actual voice recording. Now, to answer your question, the recordings are stored in a S3 storage bucket in your Amazon account, and you will determine how long you want to keep it. Typically, what people do is they'll say, we want live recordings to be, just like I showed you, pull it back. I want to be able to pull them back the last 6 months. Anything older than 6 months, we want to archive in Amazon. It's called Glacier. It's dirt cheap storage. And you can say, after 6 months, move this stuff to Glacier and keep it for 5 years. So to answer your question, everything is stored, and you control how long it's stored. And the last point, and now that I'm looking at my notes, is someone asked about Lens, which is transcription. We're building, Amazon is releasing a new feature called transcription, and we will add a button here that enables you to, right here, I can play this recording, or I can download the recording, obviously, if I have permissions to do that. And we're going to add a button that basically says transcribe this recording. And we'll transcribe it and provide Amazon's Lens features. But I hope you have found this to be an informative demonstration, and I certainly thank you for the opportunity to present it.